Hey guys, Dennis here.
Chrissy.
Muddy Water Search and Recovery. This is 34 years that Randy Leach has been missing, and we are joined today by special guest Jennifer. Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi guys, how are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Doing good,
And-
doing good. I'm
Good,
glad to
good.
connect with you guys.
Yes, so are we.
We are honored to
We've been.
have
I've been waiting patiently.
Yeah.
and my messages has been blowing up for this.
Right. Do what?
Unfortunately, the reason why we're here, another year
Right.
is not, awesome. I wish we could have put an end to this and just be chatting, but
Yes.
Right.
yeah,
The end is coming.
it
Hopefully.
With as many people
Right.
working together now, the end
Yeah.
is coming.
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And like I told you guys backstage when we were talking,
Yeah.
me and another member were discussing something, and I've looked over these reports and these pages multiple times. But one question from this gentleman, I ended up noticing something that I didn't notice every previous
Right.
time that I've looked at these reports, and I was able to kind of garner a location on my map due to that. So, I mean, like
Yeah.
the collaboration and the teamwork and things like that, it kind of helps bring out things that I might not see or you might not see because we're all
Right.
working together. So that's awesome
Right.
in itself.
Right.
And the teamwork has been incredible.
Oh my goodness. Yes. The stuff you guys are finding out and then telling us. It's But anyway. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I got the chat now. Okay, awesome. What I'm going to do is I am going to switch over to the maps because I've never actually been on camera before, and it's not awesome.
I know. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and switch over to your map, son, and then
Okay.
It's all
and then
you.
then you can still hear me.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, honestly, what I was thinking about today is starting off with kind of what I envision of an ideal team and search party. Because what you're looking at right now on our map, you have the red thumb mark in the middle. That's the last known location for Randy.
Okay.
You have 10 miles is the yellow circle from that location. 20 miles is red and 30 miles is blue. Realistically, the blue could be reached within an hour. So depending on how fast they drive and things like that, there's a
Right.
lot in
Right.
this. If we go just to yellow and try to zoom in on that. And then one of our members in our group was talking about creeks, ravines, things like that, since the Kyle Klink scale discovery last November. And, it's really a good thought and premises. But let me show you guys something. I only started to map the northern portion of this yellow circle above the Kansas City River. All these yellow markings you see on my map, those are where water meets road.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness.
Do you see that?
Look at that.
I mean, now the thing is, we have you guys searching. We have Brandon and his wives and their wives searching. But this is a lot, not to mention
Right.
the lakes. To put
I mean, look at
on-
all of them. There are a big bunch of them right there, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And now let's add in some of the ponds that were present, at least back as far as 1991.
Oh my goodness. Holy moly, look at that.
That is more.
Oh,
I mean, you guys.
dear.
You guys wouldn't be able to take any other case.
No.
No. Brandon, who are gracious enough to help us out, would be
Right.
burned out.
Right.
What I would like to see is, like, first off, like a tier system of searching. And that being said, like maybe someone who doesn't have a boat, who doesn't have sonar, I mean, even it's something my 65-year-old mother could do is pull off to the side of the road at any one of these yellow markings you see, take a picture of it. If you can clearly see bottom, post it in our Randy recovery site, we can mark that yellow spot off. If you can't see water in it, then we forward it to someone like Brandon and Brent.
Right.
If it's too deep for them to search without sonar, then we go to you guys, because you guys have multiple cases too. To get to all these places, we're going to burn ourselves out.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if we had just citizens, all you had to do and really not even exert a lot of energy, just park your car in a safe spot. A lot of these are rural roads, so there's not really any traffic or anything on those. And just take a picture with your camera by the bridge of these creeks and things. I do have some of these started to be mapped off under creeks, streams, and ravines in my map that is public. Right now, what you're seeing is my personal map from Google Earth Pro and everything that I have stored and done files on and things like that. But I try to make my public map, which you guys can get through from the web address or the link, very similar to what I have at home privately. The only difference is the views are better for me on Google Earth. That's why I use them for these lives. But if we had a tier system, if we had maybe 10 or 15 people just going around when they pass these, just taking a couple minutes out of their day to stop and look to see if there's any water in there, if you can see the bottom of these things, we can get them marked off.
Right.
You know, I mean, because while there are many theories, there's not one more viable than the other as far as public knowledge. I mean, there's a lot out there on Randy because of the leaked documents, more than a lot of other cold cases. But I mean, there might be other things, but right now an accident is just as viable as an option as satanic theory or the car crusher, or, you know, things like that. And to get these marked off would be just like awesome. And then we can start really focusing in on them, because we got to wait for permissions and things like that when people are home. And, you know, there's a lot of these areas that someone can get to. And then I would like to ultimately see, like with summer coming up, you guys have some awesome, you know, beautiful countryside down there.
Yeah.
And if we go down, look at all these public waters.
Oh my God, Denny. Oh my goodness.
I mean, these are all within the 30-mile radius of where Randy was last seen.
Oh my goodness.
They technically can't be rolled out. I mean, so if you're watching this and you normally vacation and take your fishing trip up in Michigan and you have sonar, I mean, Kansas has some really awesome fishing.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That you can come down, you can fish. I mean, there's camping, horseback riding at a lot of these places.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your family. And just as you're enjoying your vacation, you know, keep an eye out on these lakes, because these lakes are massive. And just one sonar scan, especially after 34 years, is not going to cover Clinton Lake.
No.
You know, especially because I've been watching like Adventures with Purpose, Exploring with Nug, and they're all saying like with like the tide and the winds, sometimes you have to go over it just right because you won't see it, you know, the first time and things like that. Well, something the size of Clinton Lake, to have someone out for one day to scan all the hot spots, we might miss something, especially with sediment and things like that. I mean, we can get multiple people that are from out of state, out of town. Um, you don't need permission. You know, you're a stranger to the area. You don't need to go knocking on strangers' doors. In fact,
Right.
I suggest you absolutely not do that.
Right.
But I mean, there's plenty of these things, you know, you want to help, you have the equipment, plan a trip down here and help us scan these lakes.
Exactly. Listen to her, people.
I mean, I know the family has started putting up, I've seen on the In Search of Randy Leach website, not the Facebook page. They have a section where they put up certain boat ramps for boaters with sonar to beware that there's a missing person in the area and things like that. But I mean, if someone's not looking for that, and I mean, I know a lot of our group, we're from all over. You know, I've discussed Randy with people from Australia.
Oh my goodness.
From the West Coast, East Coast. You know, if you're vacationing, this is something feasible that you can do. Also, you know, if you can't do this, still look at these maps. Like I said in one of my lives, it may mean nothing to you. We may see, and I'm just going to zoom in here, we may see a random pond. And
like
someone,
that, yep.
like just a random pond, and someone maybe in Florida sees something in that pond.
Right.
It's just another possible object to us.
Right.
But I did let the family know through their tip contact that I did make a map and that it is available for their use should they need it. That pond may mean something to them.
Right.
You know, maybe someone was associated with that location at one point in time when the family or the police were investigating. Right. And that's that one thing that they need to take another look at it, especially with technology the way it is today. You know, we're working with a lot more capabilities than they had early on in Randy's investigation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, even if you can't get down here, just, I mean, keep doing what you're doing in the groups because it could very well be that one thing that helps bring Mrs. Leach the closure that she needs and deserves.
Right.
So let's see.
Absolutely.
Let me see. Do we check a little bit of the comments? I don't think there's anything on this portion.
Right now, it just, hi, Leanne. Leanne's on there. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Okay, Mark says, if we could get permissions, I would come down for a day or two here and there and do magnet searches. Plane flights cheap. If I had a list of addresses with a green light to search, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, you ever make it down here, you better get a hold of me, bud.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I went too fast. Okay. It's just a lot of people that are just saying hi and yeah.
I'm just going to kind of leave the comments up to you because I tend to like have tunnel vision towards my maps when I get them up.
And I like where you're going with this. That was a whole lot of locations.
Oh my goodness, that was outrageous.
And
I mean, if we could, kind of like perspective, you know,
if we could get a weekend that we could get a lot of people together and hit as many places as possible and do some of those, then I think we could take some of those.
Oh gosh, yes.
And get those checked off.
Yeah. And now one of our other things we were talking about in the lives that we kind of left off with in the last live I did in Recovery Mission, Randy Leach's car group on Facebook, is the idea of Randy possibly being hungry.
Right.
I did a rudimentary timeline for myself. I did it off of the statements and the public information that was leaked on some of the other Facebook groups with Mr. Leach's timeline. And one thing I had noticed was there didn't seem to be any meal after lunchtime for Randy.
Right.
And based off of the sightings and things like that, people that have seen him around Linwood throughout that evening, it didn't really seem like he had time to get anything other than those candy bars
Right.
and pops.
Right.
And, Mr. Leach hit this hard. I would think if he ate something at the Linwood Cafe, that would have been noted.
Yes.
Right.
I was thinking maybe he did have the keys. Like Mark had said previously, I think in a Facebook group, it was more common to leave our keys either in the ignition, maybe the visor,
Yes.
especially when you're somewhere, that you consider your home base.
And if you get a chance to visit Linwood, it's very small. I mean, it is so small. I mean, you can walk everywhere you need to go. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's super small. So I guarantee you, keys left in the ignition and the visor, whatever, that had to, I'm sure nobody even locked their doors at night. So, I mean, it's super small.
So it is possible that he did during a short period of time, know where his keys were and retrieved them and left the area. Anyone who's ever been under the influence of anything knows that our needs, our wants, our thoughts, they change.
Oh gosh, yes.
Very quickly. One minute I'm upset or I'm pouting, and the next minute it's like, oh, let's do this.
Right. Right.
So, it's possible. And with that said, I put out a kind of like a notice for restaurants, anything that may have been open after like a 1 a.m. time frame.
Yeah.
Now, I'm from Chicago. We'd have a problem if that was Chicago.
Right.
But out here, we've only got really 2 options. But I do actually have 3. We have, let's see here, where are my restaurants? Ta-da! Right there.
Okay.
There are my restaurants. First, we have Victory Junction. And this is from Alex.
Okay. Great Babe, who is Leanne, just made a comment. Arlie and Lola, who own the cafe, said Randy wasn't in the cafe that evening.
Okay. He wasn't in the cafe, but did he attempt to get there?
Right.
Could be another issue.
Right.
But that is great knowledge to know that he didn't
Thank you,
get there.
Leanne.
So
Thank you.
way I don't have to think of possible routes of where he would have went from there. Then we have McDonald's. Leanne did say it was closed. But the thing is, if I'm intoxicated, my time perception may be off, and I might not realize this establishment is closed. I mean, there's been plenty of times in my early 20s where I've went somewhere to be like, dang,
right.
It's closed. And now I'm wondering about where I'm going to go from here.
Yeah.
So we have that one. And then there was one more that came in recently. This one is a little bit farther. This is the Wyandotte Cafe. It was told to me that it was open in the 80s, late 80s, 90s. Great midnight breakfast spot, after drinking spot, things like that.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then if you can see, okay, we have our green routes, possible ways, lots of different direction he could have taken, the red thumbnail at the bottom. And now let's just enact our creeks for those. and are ponds near those.
Jeez.
So, I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
accidental theories, that's why I
Uh-oh.
came up with the idea of maybe a flyer to put it in people's minds that there is still a missing young man in this area and that there is a potential he could be underwater. And then, I mean, I don't know about you, but psychologically, if it's put in my mind that I may have something in my pond,
Right.
and you leave me to marinate on that thought for maybe
Yeah.
a couple weeks or a month, I'm going
Yeah.
to want that checked out. And
Right.
then this
Yes.
way, they can call you guys to schedule it.
Right.
You could schedule them however you want, and they feel more comfortable because it's not someone just knocking on their door either, popping up out of the blue, a stranger. They are actually initiating the contact with you guys.
Yeah.
And then I know there's certain spots due to tips and theories that you guys need to search, but technically, with an accident not being able to be ruled out, there's a lot of these ponds that just need to be searched on pretense alone because they're so close to water.
God, look at that. Look how many are pretty much just right on top of each other, Denny. Look at that.
Yeah, we did the 166 route with Brent in one of our lives. Like this red spot right here is where water meets road, but Brent was kind enough to take some cell phone footage for us so we could get a lay of the land. And he checked that, and that was really shallow. And a lot of these very well might be where you could see the riverbed. Some of them might not be. And, you know, with the Kyle Klink scale issue, you know, when he was missing 45 years and he showed up in that shallow ravine that people have passed and fished, you know, it kind of brings up the thought that maybe we haven't, you know, we're just missing something.
Yeah.
And by looking at the map, there's a lot to miss.
Yeah.
So let's see. From here, I feel like I'm running your show, guys.
No, you're no. no. You do what you need to do. Alex says, if I was driving my parents' vehicle somewhere, I don't think I would leave the keys in it while I was at the party. He respected his parents and took care of their car or their stuff by washing and waxing. So yeah, it just, it depends. I mean,
yeah, it depends if he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there have been times that, you know, there's certain things that I almost mechanically do. But then when I'm put in a situation where I might be excited or really looking forward to something, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or, you know, just the type of person and personality I have, but sometimes common sense just kind of flies out the window for me.
Right.
And I'm like an ADD squirrel, like, oh, no. And I forget to do most of the common things that I would normally do.
Oh, where did Leanne's go? Hold on just a second, Jennifer. Let me see something here. Okay. Leanne just wrote, country people value their privacy more than they want closer for someone else's family. The Linwood area has changed so much since Randy disappeared. I doubt the new people will allow searches. Oh.
And the only way we're going to know is to knock and find out.
Right. And then true crime. So I'm seeing you'll eventually find him. I think you're working with Jen will be good. Just a reminder, last week, Jen told me about Ariana on your live, and I told her, and you and I heard something like a sewer. And she was found in a sewer drainage. Just about Randy, I think I heard cinema, but not sure. Maybe check to see if a cinema is close in any of the areas Jen mapped out. Okay. let's see.
I think we need Leanne's input on that since she's here. If there was
Right.
any kind of common cinemas in the
Yeah.
area, he might not have
Yeah.
been trying to go to the cinema per se, but something around the area,
Yeah.
or he may have been brought to that area for some reason.
Right. And Leanne said, at Mark, we didn't do bar closing breakfast until we hit our 20s. So, okay. Aaron, Flanagan didn't know anything and Randy became insistent and made Flanagan mad enough. I don't think Randy's disappearance was pre-planned. What if Randy has been on the Flanagan property all these years? That's very true too. I mean,
Yeah, at this point, there's still nothing that can really be ruled out.
I agree. And I would say for what some of us have been called before, armchair detectives and internet sleuths. I mean, that's a very viable option. And I'd really start to encourage you guys to look into seeing how Flanagan would have gotten rid of a vehicle if he had any connections of any sort and things like that.
Oh, and then Dan just wrote cinema closed before the party ended. So, yeah.
But that means there is.
Oh, Jen. Are you still there, Jen?
No, I'm muting it on and off because my mic is very sensitive. And
okay.
When I take a sip of something, the ice sprinkles.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
You'll see my mic going in and out.
Okay.
This way you don't get no background noise while you're reading their questions.
Okay. I thought, oh no, it messed up again. Okay. Aaron Flanagan. Okay, I read that one. They have a channel called Armchair Detective on YouTube too. All right, Aaron, maybe Randy walked into a drug scene and since he wasn't of his right mind, didn't hold back what he saw or thought someone there did. Something with the car and he couldn't go home without the car. Did that make sense? Did I read that? That makes sense. So there's that one. Would learn to search, possibly a drive-in.
And I agree with Mark on that. Mark said he believes that good people would let you search.
Oh, yeah. And then Brent says, the people who owned the Burns property welcomed my brother and I. They had heard about the case and were compassionate for his mother. I believe new owners would let us search.
Sam, we've got permission now to search an area off of Stranger Creek.
Yeah.
And these people were very, very open.
Oh, goodness, yes.
To allow
also, you have the possibility because, like I said before, police seem to select certain individuals to almost stalk and harass after this, is what I've heard from certain locals that have been vocal on different social media platforms. I haven't spoke with them personally, but everything is screenshotted and things like that. So I have read that. And then, people, the blame game and anyone who was kind of at the party or had any type of criminal background or criminal mistakes were kind of looked at funny. Now that you're getting all these new people in, you don't have the stigma of the past 20, 30 years of all the stress that came with searching.
Right.
So, new people very well might be more sympathetic. I guess it really depends on who you get.
Right. Okay, Brent, let's see. We had Alex wrote, always wondered why, if Randy had a curfew of midnight and he went from what has been said that he always was home by midnight, what truly transpired at the party from 11 to midnight? That's a key time. That's very good. Yeah, yes. Brent says, people who have owned the properties for a long time might be annoyed at people for asking all the time. Very true.
And that's where Jennifer's map, another way it is so nice, is it lets us know if that place has been searched.
Right.
And Jennifer, if it was somebody who was just adamant that somebody's not going to search, would that be on the map as well?
What do you mean adamant that someone's not going to? Anything is on the map. You know, we all have our personal thoughts and opinions. You know, some people believe this theory, that theory. I myself have mine as well. But I try to be open to all because I run a map for everybody. If you have a dream about a
Yeah.
location, it's
Right.
on the map. If you see an object in there, it's on the map. There are people who will contact me through private messenger. Don't give me a reason whatsoever except for check this area. It's on the map.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I just do the map to organize the internet. Because if you've ever looked through the Facebook groups and pages, there's locations, then there's like 6 or 7 different inspirational thoughts or thoughts of well wishes and well meaning. And, you know, over a span of even 2 months, there's a location that could get lost in there.
Yes.
So when I did the reason I used MapHub was because, you know, it's a link. Everybody could access it. I kind of wanted something similar to my Google Maps, but, you know, with all the different categories and things like that. But also, if you click on a location, it'll bring up a link to the original post, if there is one. So let me see if I can show you guys really quick for those of you that don't know.
Okay, Flanagan could have been in. Okay. We've got a couple more comments here. Jennifer, give me 1 second. Okay, Leanne said, you know, I think the Flanagan property is for sale. Maybe someone could schedule an appointment to see it and maybe walk the woods. So that's nice to know. Let's see. John said it'd be nice to fingerprint Marble's Satanic Bible. Okay, Aaron just said Flanagan could have been an informant for law enforcement for drugs. He wasn't afraid of going to prison. He killed his girlfriend and got a slap on the wrist. Everyone knew he was into drugs. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Then Leanne also says that Marble was not involved, or that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was
Robbie
another one.
involved.
Yep. John Galt, Robbie was not involved. Okay, I saw some. Okay, there's that.
I do believe Robert Marble was one of the ones that law enforcement kind of had tunnel vision on in the beginning.
Right.
And that's kind of based off of reading the reports and things like that were leaked, because there's an awful lot of just kind of like following this man around.
Yeah.
Right.
And he wasn't a man at the time. This is a 17, 18-year-old kid that they were just kind of following around at the time. So.
Right. Alex wrote, here's another question. Might take a few posts. Steve Doherty, was he legally blind? Think glasses, never drove. Supposedly didn't own an automobile. He drove by the next morning, though, in a van.
See, I haven't seen anything that says he was legally blind, but I haven't been able to find a lot on him.
Right.
Anyway.
I can chime in on that. I do believe Alberta had mentioned something about very poor eyesight. Harold's interview with Profiling Evil and AWP. I do also believe there is a podcast stating legally blind. But let's not forget this was years later. There are reports. There is one report that stated from a community member, no one at the party, no one related to the case, and they referenced Steve Doherty owning a old gray telephone van. There's also another report from someone in the community stating that Steve Doherty used to work at the greenhouses and be a truck driver. But at the time that the statement was given, Steve was no longer employed there, which the person giving the statement did not know the reasons for his unemployment.
Right.
So that's
Because Leanne also wrote, Alex Ames Steve wore glasses, not blind. He did drive.
Alex's.
Oh, Alex, I am sorry, hun. I am so sorry. But he owned his own vehicle, borrowed from a lot of people. So
Yes,
right there.
Steve wore
Yeah.
the glasses. He was
Yeah.
not blind, but
Yeah.
drove other people's vehicles.
And Christopher Mears says, it seems to me an awful lot of waterways have been searched for this Randy and no luck really on finding him or the car. Is there a possibility the car's off the roadway, overgrown and brush? That was something we talked about.
Seeing that can't be ruled out.
Right. Okay, where did that go? I just saw it. Okay. These kids didn't kill and dispose of Randy in the dead of night with no signs. Exactly. Christopher said he was intoxicated at the party and was looking for his keys. He may have found his keys, made his way to the car, and attempted to drive the car home, going off the road somewhere into the woods. That's a very big possibility. Anything the sheriff discounted is worth looking into. Absolutely. Aaron, if Flanagan is or was an informant for top drug deals in Kansas, Missouri area, then maybe that is why a judge won't open the file and law enforcement screwed up to keep everyone distracted. I agree with that. Yeah. What do you think, Jen?
I do agree too. I honestly, through my life experiences, any of these theories are possible. Even the most wildest, outlandish possibility. It's just that we don't have the puzzle pieces to make those possibilities make sense.
Right.
I have an instance in my life that if I told you the story with just the bare basic details,
right,
it would never be possible until I explained exactly step by step how I made it possible. Then it's like, well, that is possible. She's not lying. Yeah.
right.
So, oh my God, she actually did this. And, I'm a little funny with statute of limitations, so we ain't going to mention what it was.
Because Alex, right. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I had also with the weeds, like Alex is talking about in the comments.
Right. I was just getting ready to read that. Yep.
If we could mention it, Alex has been kind enough to start an experiment for us about the brush and the weeds and, just the wooded areas. And he picked, for those of you that don't know, he picked a focal point of a semi truck through woods that has been parked there. It basically plans to stay there. And he's only about what I think Alex said, 300 yards away from this. And every Wednesday since he took a picture of it this Wednesday, right around the time Randy went missing. So the environment is pretty much on par with when Randy went missing in 1988. And every week he is going to take a photograph and see how visible that this huge semi truck becomes through this brush. And once again, it's a huge semi truck. We're looking for a silver sedan that possibly may have been overturned. And I don't want to discredit any of the people, any of his friends, family, community members that had went out and searched like Leanne, but there is a chance that, like I said, spur of the moment thinking, not of clear mind, an accidental turnoff went the wrong way, or, ooh, how about I do this? You know what? Yeah,
Right.
I want to see this girl, or I want to go grab something to eat,
Yeah.
or I want to say, I want to see what this dude is up to. So I mean, it's nothing against the searchers that were present and worked diligently to find Randy in 1988 and since. It's just that, looking at that 30-mile radius, which he could have potentially got to within an hour drive, there's a whole bunch of places that they most likely didn't look, because why would they?
Right. Yep.
And Brent had a good point on there. And I know we've gone from the old Irwin residence to the Leach residence every possible way.
Right.
And just the way the land is through there and the houses and all of that, it's hard for me to think that a vehicle is just off in the weeds there, because you could see in through anywhere.
Yeah.
When we went out for the meet, we did drive around some again,
Mhm.
and you could see in there until there's no vehicle. So unless he did go somewhere other than home,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see that he went off the road in the grass or the weeds and has been
Right.
hidden.
Because Brent did say, I feel like I can rule out the brush theory unless he took a different route home. If he decided to go somewhere else other than home, possibilities are endless. Absolutely.
And
Leanne
I do
said,
agree with that.
right. Jen, excuse me. Leanne said, I drove around for an hour and 45 minutes looking for him wrecked that night. Every route he could have driven home, and again the next day. So let's see. Bobby says there's many things that the law investigators know but cannot relieve the information. Carla A. Massey says, from what I've known, Terry Campbell had a huge start to this mess. Sheriff then, but Annie and Dan know something, I'm sure. Probably. Oh, and then Aaron said, other than the interviews with Randy's parents on AWP, does anyone know of transcripts of Flanagan being interviewed by police? Harold and Alberta went to jail and talked to Flanagan.
Yes.
Does anybody know of any?
That.
Okay.
They did say that they spoke to him, and I believe what Alberta said Flanagan told them was, I don't know anything, but if I hear something, I'll let you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I had heard as well.
Yeah, that might be the exact words, or pretty dang close near it.
Right.
But I kind of wanted to touch on what Bobby said about law enforcement knowing things that they can't reveal.
No.
And
Yeah.
I do agree with that. But where I'm grabbing my clues from, Bobby, is retired detective Timothy Dennis with the KIB. He came out in, what was it, like 2013-14, around the time of an anniversary of Randy's disappearance, and he told the story of the accidental drive off into Stranger Creek that possibly may have pushed the vehicle down the Kansas and even as far as the Missouri. Now, what I'm getting from that interview is that is a gentleman who's seen it all. Everything we are not privy to. Much more than the 1,500 pages that have been leaked on the internet. Yeah. If there was a possible suspect, a person of interest, someone that they had their eye on or liked for this crime, but they just couldn't nab him.
Yeah.
I don't believe he would have came out with the accidental theory if they had someone for the liking of what happened to Randy.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Retired detective, he's seen it all. If they said, if they had their eyes on person A, but they just didn't have anything to link or prove it, but everything was telling them person A had something to do with it. then I don't think he would have went on and said that theory that he did if they had anything viable.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
See, and that theory concerned me though, because I believe it had been 10 years since Randy had went missing when he done that. And hearing from those who were in the area at the time about there being little to no water, getting the past weather records that show there was little to no water, it is hard for me to understand how he come out with the theory that he washed down the creek in that far with there not being enough water in there to even float a car.
Yeah, it sounded just very, very, very funny. But
And maybe locals can tell me this. What is the flow like on Stranger Creek? I mean, I know there are parts of Stranger Creek that get high. I know that it does accumulate a good amount of water in it. But what is that flow like?
I mean, it floods every year. I mean, we could have 2 days of rain flooded. I mean, it's horrible when it comes to that. But the flow, Denny, how would you?
If the water's low, you've got really no flow. In many areas on Stranger, it will either dry up, just be rocks. I've seen areas that the water would flow backwards for about half a day until it got low enough to dry out areas just to keep big puddles and the holes and stuff going through.
So would you say the flow is just kind of, is it super fast? Is it just piddling along? I mean,
no,
what would you?
It's just a mellow, slow flow on a typical day.
Yeah.
On a normal day.
Yeah. And then Katie, Stranger flows slow. Yep, absolutely.
So unless the point of entry was close to the Kansas, there's no way that flow could push a car. I mean, so it's nothing like, the Missouri. If something went in the Missouri, based off of what I've seen in videos, it could go a good distance.
Right.
Unless you're going off at that exact point, pretty much, that Tim Dennis said in his theory, which is the Red Bridge, Stranger Creek. And then I can show you guys right here. Let's see. I'm using, where are we at? Here's the bridge. Unless he went off here. I mean, even that's a big distance for a slow flowing creek.
Right.
I mean, and we're still good, what would you say, Dennis? This is maybe about 50 to 70 feet still up in the air?
Oh, it's a lot further than it's got a pretty good distance through there.
Yeah.
So I mean, just going through, I mean, you get closer down, you still got a long way to go. And according to, I believe it was Leanne, there was some type of gathering going on down here. I would think if something splatted in the water from right around here, that might cause someone to maybe not necessarily check it out, but be like, hey, what was that? And then, a couple days later, everybody knows Randy's missing. I would just think someone would have said, when we were hanging out down by Red Bridge, we heard that noise,
Right.
Now, are you on the 32 bridge right there?
No, I am on Golden, where the bridge came down due to the flood in 91.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Red Bridge was old bridge back of Linwood, not 32 Bridge. That's what Leanne just said, so.
And even the Kansas River in that area where Stranger meets, that area is really shallow normally as well.
Yeah. And Leanne, the night that you went looking for him, I think you you kind of came down to this hangout spot because some of the people had moved. How
Uh-oh.
Hey,
There. Okay. You cut out for a minute, Jen.
sorry.
Nope, you're okay.
Leanne had mentioned, I think previously, that while looking for Randy, she did end up going down to the gathering by Red Bridge. I was asking how far along this riverbank was that gathering in relation to these railroad tracks? Because, he would have had to come if Detective Dennis's theory is plausible, he would have had to come somewhere right around here into the creek. And I was just wondering how close the people were hanging out to this point. Oh, Brent, I just read your comment about a good time to ask me about the locations of the caves.
You're right. I'm sorry. I was reading a comment there. I missed that. I'm sorry, Jen.
I think I figured it out. I really, really think I figured it out. Let's see. Let's go back. The reason I was on this map to begin with is because how I was talking about how locations could get lost. Like you see this, we click on it. Oh, this is one that doesn't have a tip. That's another one. There are some that are just given to me without an actual post. Like, here we go. There's a post here.
Okay.
Along with the possible things. So as you guys, as potential searchers, this may be something you're interested in.
Okay.
If my internet comes up. I think I may be overshooting here with there we go, with my broadband. But it brings up Jonathan's post from February 24th. It shows his original statements, his original pictures, and any type of conversation regarding that. So if someone may have said, no, I fished in there before, or I lived by there and that it was kind of dried up, there's nothing there. You as potential searchers can read all the commentary on that. Do you know how long it would take you to find Jonathan's post if you just went to Randy Leach or the Facebook group and just start scrolling down? So the map is just kind of so no one misses anything.
Right. Leanne just said, Dennis said he went off of 32. But Jen, see the dirt path off the road by Red Bridge? That was our effing entry party spot.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay.
Here's where the bridge used to be. Going crazy. Here's where the bridge used to be. Follow my mouse.
Okay.
And there's a road here. Here are the railroad tracks. And here is that road that Leanne is speaking of.
Okay.
Now, Leanne, was it close to the railroad tracks, or did you guys want to be out of sight more and kind of follow it down further towards the Kansas?
You're okay, Leanne. Don't worry about it. She goes, didn't mean to type effing. You're all right, hon. You're okay.
Okay, what's going on?
And you were cutting out just a bit there, but Leanne, she's asking, how far down that road was it where the local party spot was? Was it near the entrance or was it further down?
And then while we're waiting on Leanne for that, I want to ask your guys' permission on something. I know you guys normally don't do this, and I can understand why. Brent asked about the caves. Can I pull up one of the leaked documents? It does not have anybody, personal citizen. It's not a statement from a personal citizen. It's a reporting officer basically writing a report on a location he checked. It doesn't implicate anybody. And I just wanted to know if I can kind of bring that up for everyone.
Okay,
But
give
it's
us
up to you
one.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That's been released all over Facebook anyway, so I
Yeah,
don't think
we
it's
don't-
going to make a
Yeah,
difference at
that's
this
fine.
point.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Well-
other stuff, unfortunately, no.
Exactly. I mean, like I've explained in my live, I mean, there may be people, as my daughters say, are sus. That's the new term. But ultimately, these are very real people with very real lives. And even if those people are deceased, they still have loved ones that love them
Yeah.
dearly. And these are raw reports. There's very few actual verification reports of information from those people's statements. So yeah, but this one is just a reporting officer checking out a location. So let me see if I can bring that up.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also,
Go ahead.
Leanne responded, they followed the path to the trees. Then there is a high berm. We walked over that into the woods to the banks.
The berm hid our fires.
Okay. Let's see here. Now let me switch over. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
On 6/18/1990, at approximately 700 hours, I responded to Leavenworth County, Kansas, approximately 1.5 mile west of 32 West and 1/8 mile north of the railroad tracks, to check for a cave entrance that CI told me about. When I arrived, I discovered a number of trees in a 1 mile radius that were burned only on one side. Most had approximately 15-inch high burn marks. These were average heights. A further check of the area revealed a orange parka found in a creek bed, and a small cave entrance was discovered, approximately 36 inches long by 25 inches wide. Now, for those of you, to give you perspective, it's pretty much no larger than the opening for your legs under a desk.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're looking at for those measurements. Continuing on, outside the entrance was a brown plastic wrapper and a spoon. The brown plastic wrapper was an encasement for an MRE, military C rations. Once inside the cave, I discovered an area approximately 2 feet in diameter, circled with white and gray stones. Inside this circle was pieces of burnt firewood. A check of the inside of this circle was conducted. A very limited search. Some words that I am not quite sure and don't want to guesstimate on. Let's see here. There were rock shaped oddly along what appeared to be a melted black plastic, or possibly with wire or a candle wax mixture. Directly behind fire, what appeared to be an H, moving on, or some type of sloppy spray painted arrow. There were approximately 3 unopened cans of Budweiser beer, all standing upright, which would indicate that this most likely was inhabited frequently. That's just my commentary. Continuing, we were approximately 1 foot from the circle. At this point, I noticed several passageways that he walked down, it goes on to say. So at this point, I'm going to kind of skip over this because it is out there. Basically, what he's saying is he ended up finding, let's see here. a body of water that appeared to be about 3 to 4 feet deep in this cave. Okay, with the entrance of the cave reminding you guys about no larger than the opening for your feet under your desk. Now there is a 3 to 4 foot deep lake